on, everybody? Welcome to another installment of BrickWall Reviews. I'm Dave, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you about the movie If. This is the latest film released and released by Paramount Pictures, directed and written by John Krasinski, starring Ryan Reynolds, Kaylee Fleming, John Krasinski himself, Fiona Shaw, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, Louis Gossett Jr., Steve Carell, and a bunch of other celebrities doing voices that I'll get into in a second. Before I get into this review, though, I want to remind you guys, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Twitch, where we do the podcast /BrickWall, and I do a lot of gaming over there on that channel. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the Twitch channel and follow us on social media. I'm always on X cutting the fool anyway. So y'all go ahead, just subscribe, follow all that good stuff. So, If. I'm in a better mood than I was yesterday. Let's just put it like that, right? For starters, let's put it like that. I'm in a better mood than I was yesterday. So, but if only this was a better fucking movie. Excuse my French. But this movie here, so the trailers, I played the trailer before on the podcast, and I talked about it. Many of you have probably seen the trailer when you go into the movies and everything. And it looks like such a fun time. It looks like this really inventive and really great concept. And to the movie's credit, it is a very interesting concept. It's inventive to a degree. It's very original. Well, not very original. We'll get into that in a second. But this movie does what I did not expect it to do at all, which was it got caught lacking severely. This movie lacks in so many ways. Right now, I'm trying not to start it off on a rant. I'm trying to start off talking about this movie in a positive light, as positive as light as I possibly can. So, to give you a little bit of background, though, this movie, If, for those of you who don't know, it's about a girl who, after discovering she can see everyone's imaginary friends, Jesus Christ, no, please save the roast. Save the roast. After discovering she can see everyone's imaginary friends, a girl embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten ifs with their kids. Wow. Okay, so let's take a look at that synopsis, right? A girl embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten ifs with their kids. A kid going on adventures to reconnect forgotten imaginary friends with their kids. That kind of almost sounds like a very familiar show, like a very familiar premise, like something I've seen before. I can't quite put my finger on it, but maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe I'm just tripping, right? So this movie does open up. It opens up with the young girl. You know, she's with her family and everything, and mom, dad. You can tell like by the beginning, it's like, okay, one of them is dead. And I'm not going to really get into spoilers when I say this, but it's one of those very obvious things. Happy family, and someone's like within the first happy family minute in that movie, you're like, yeah, one of them is dead. And that's exactly what I did. And so what ends up happening? And okay, so big spoiler, not really big spoiler, but the dad is sick. And so the girl ends up going to stay with her grandma, and that was the house that she grew up in. And so while she's there, she ends up she's her dad's always trying to comfort her, make her laugh and stuff like that while he's really sick. And she's just like, Dad, I know you're sick. You don't have to joke all the time. And so that's literally what she says too. I'm not gonna hold you. But then she ends up through just trying to go through old memories and like a camcorder that she had. She ends up running into one of the imaginary friends that she ends up seeing, and from there the plot kind of kicks off. She starts to see the other imaginary friends, and Ryan Reynolds' character is just trying to kind of trying to keep the imaginary friends in line, kind of in terms of they all want to go out and reconnect with the kid, or because they want to, they pretty much want to reconnect with the kid in general, but they kind of, and I'm trying to skirt around it so I don't really spoil it, but that's kind of what Ryan Reynolds' character is kind of doing. there is kind of like just making sure that they're safe, making sure they don't, get carried away, trying to keep them from being exposed too hard or something like that. And it's kind of weird because they never really go into why Ryan Reynolds' character in the movie really has so strong of a stance that he has, because he has like this really like, oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be real bad. I don't know. Are you sure you want to do this? You sure you want to do this? But then at the same time, he's just like, I'm proud of you, kid. You're really doing this. And so it's like his motivations are kind of, and that's really, I was really trying to kind of like, but screw it. The problem with this movie, is that it kind of like it shifts gears a lot. And for me, I was just like, okay, I see what you're doing, but at the same time, I don't know what you're doing at all, because you're giving me this concept, but you're not giving me enough to understand why this particular concept holds so much weight. The most weight that you get to understand the movie is that the imaginary friends, they feel like if their kids don't need them, then they get forgotten. And when they get forgotten, they disappear. That is something that is only mentioned. They tell it. They don't show it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to spoil it, but just understand this. I won't soothe your mind, ease your mind. You never see a moment in this film when an imaginary friend is in danger of disappearing. That does not happen. And as a matter of fact, midway through the movie, I tried to be coy about this earlier. Midway through the movie, it's like it realized that it was about to be Foster's home for imaginary friends and said, oh shit, we can't do that. We got to do something else. And it goes to do something else. And it just doesn't. It's like this movie does something that I did not think it was going to do. And it makes that really imaginative, really interesting plot. It takes that and it just like, it doesn't really do what you would expect it to do with it. And in the trailers, they tout this celebrity. I'm ranting. And the trailers, they tout all these celebrities being in the movie. Jon Stewart, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, all these other people, a whole bunch of people. Let me see. Let me look at the list of people and tell y'all some of the people, because when you watch the trailers and even when you see the marketing, you see so many names. Like let me see. Let me. Okay, so you got, outside of Steve Carell, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, and Louis Gossett Jr., who their three imaginary friend characters are the most prominent characters in the movie, they go and they tout to the death of them. Awkwafina, Emily Blunt, George Clooney, Bradley Cooper, I didn't even freaking know Bradley Cooper was in this. Matt Damon, Bill Hader, Richard Jenkins, Keegan-Michael Key, Blake Lively, Sebastian Maniscalco, Christopher Maloney, Matthew Rhys, Sam Rockwell, Maya Rudolph, Amy Schumer, Allison Seeger, and Jon Stewart. Let me tell you how many of those voices I recognize. I recognize Jon Stewart. It's hard not to recognize freaking Aqua goddamn Fina. Yeah, those are the only two you notice. And why do you only notice those two? Because they get nothing to do. They don't do anything. And Sam Rockwell, because I recognize Sam Rockwell's voice from a mile away. But those characters get very little to do. You don't spend time with all those other characters. And I get it, maybe you can't really animate them or pay all those actors to come in and record those lines, but you don't spend time. You spend a lot of time with Steve Carell's character. You barely see Phoebe Waller-Bridges' character. She's there, but she's not really there. And it's like her connection, like the connections that everyone has in this movie, it's like, it feels like they got, because there's one part in particular where I was sitting there, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I literally was like, what? Like, I didn't scream it out, but I was like, what? And that was one part of it, because what happens, right, is they can't. So when I say that this movie is almost Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, right? And again, I say this with all respect to the directors, the cast, the crew, and everything like that. I say this with all respect to y'all, right? But I'm going to shit on this real quick. When I say that this movie is almost like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, it's a point in the movie where they're like, oh, let's reassign the imaginary friends to some new kids. They try that once with one kid, and they kind of, to their credit, they show why they can't do that plot, because like, oh damn, the kid couldn't see the imaginary friend. You have to be able to see the imaginary friend in order for you to be connected with the imaginary friend. If I can't see this imaginary friend, then there's no connection boom, I can't have this imaginary friend. This imaginary friend can't get reassigned. So they go through that with one kid, right? And then they say, what else can we do? Oh, that didn't work. We're so sad. And it does. So, okay, one at a time. So, so what they end up doing is that they say, hey, what if we can get the adults to remember their imaginary friends, since these imaginary friends should belong to them with their kids? What if we can get them to remember that? So again, this movie has like these nuggets of like a really good plot and a really good movie. But when that part of the movie gets introduced, like, hey, let's reintroduce them to the adults and see if they, it's like the movie, mind you, this movie is only an hour, 47 minutes long. We were about like an hour, and we had to be like an hour and a half in. We had to be an hour and 20 minutes into that movie by the time that plot gets introduced. We have 27 minutes left. What are we doing here? Come on, give us something. So it's like you do that, and they go out of their way to show this, to emphasize one part. And oh my God, when they do the music crescendo, they do the big, beautiful moment, and they show this, and then the scene ends. And when you see the part of the movie, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. I cannot be the only one who sat there and was like, what's the resolution of this, though? What is the resolution of this? And this movie got, I would say this movie got lucky because it kind of like crammed every explanation that you're sitting there like, wow, there's 10 minutes left and you did not tell me anything about this guy. You didn't tell me anything about that. You didn't really explain this. The last 10 minutes of the film literally crams all the explanations in there. It does it in a very good way. I won't lie to you. I will not lie to you. It does it pretty well, but it still crams everything into the end. And it's like, geez, man, what are you doing? This was such an amazing concept, and yet you sat there and just did nothing with it. Or you did very little, or you tried to, with a movie like this, you would expect it to be very whimsical, fun, laugh out loud, really heartwarming and stuff like that. But it's like, it tries to like be like this. I explained it to somebody yesterday. Like when we used to have that era of young adult novels, right? That used to be turned into movies. And the trailers would show you like all these fun parts, all these really cool, great, crazy parts. And you'd be like, wow, that looks like it's going to be a great action movie. That looks like it's going to be such a fun movie. And you go there. My prime example for that was Bridge to Terabithia. I know there are people who love that movie, but the trailer was like, oh, they're going to be around there with trolls and all these monsters are going to be fighting and it's going to be funny and and you go sit there and it's just like, I'm watching it. When is this movie going to start? You're looking at the movie like, good Lord, this is boring. What is going to happen? And all the fun stuff you see in the movie are the things you see in the trailer. This is one of those movies where all the fun stuff in the movie, you saw it in the trailer. I was like, yo, what? So like this, oh gosh, like, and I was a lot more high strung of this when I saw it yesterday. And I was just like, what was that? Like, this movie had so much great potential. I was very excited to sit down and watch this movie. But even when it started, it was moving slow. I was like, okay, well, this is just the beginning. You know, you got to get the setup and everything like that. You know, I took my kids and I was like, I hope they're really enjoying this. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, hey, yo, what is that? Like, every scene, literally every scene did that thing with the music, with the crescendos. It's like, and then it just like goes to another scene. And it's like, it just, there are moments in the movie that are very fun. Don't get me wrong. There are moments in the movie that your kids are going to love, that you are going to love, that you're going to laugh out loud at. Very few, but there are moments in the movie that are fun. But again, let me emphasize, very few. For me, there were very few. For the audience I was with, there were very few because they were so spaced out, because everything else was just so, it just felt so dry and slow. And I couldn't help but think, with all due respect to John Krasinski, he should have passed this one off to a different director, someone who knows how to do the kid movies and someone who can kind of do something that like was a little bit more exciting. You know, I never watched the movie and said, this needs a pop song. I never did that. Like, oh, you know what this could use? A pop song. It had none of that. It had all the old record player songs like, run away, you are mine, and I will do the day for the night. That's what the music was in this movie. Like, it's just so many things with this movie that I was just like, yo, this is not it. This ain't it, fam. Like, it just, No, like, and again, I'm in a much calmer mood today than I was yesterday, because yesterday I would have fired off on all cylinders. Like, I promise you, it got hot. I cracked this door. I would have been so mad yesterday. Like, I would have, like, I had every complaint in the book. I had it yesterday, but I was like, you know what? And I said I was going to be a little nicer to this today, because I understand this movie may have taken a lot of hard work, but this just was like not it. Like, this was not, it was not what I would have imagined it would have been. I imagined a much more, like, they even did like a musical. I know in the trailer you see them tease like a musical number when they're all dancing and stuff like that. That's not even that interesting. Like, it kind of just happens. As a matter of fact, I will even say, I won't say it's not that interesting. It is actually one of the more fun parts of the movie. But at the same time, Ryan Reynolds' character is the one that confused me the most, because I could not understand, especially in that scene. He's just like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. No, 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 no. Don't do. And then, like, by the end, he's like, well, kid, you look like you did a good job. And I'm like, why were you freaked out? And then when you get the revelation of his character, you still don't get why he was so freaked out about a lot of things throughout the entire movie. And then it's just like, the revelation is kind of, it's cute, but it's just like, really? And then again, when I make the Foster Home for Imaginary Friends comparisons, I'm not going to hold you. It was so crazy, because even the purple one, the purple imaginary friend that's in all the marketing, the big purple monster played by Steve Carell, his name is Blue. And I told somebody, this movie literally could have been a follow-up movie to Foster Home for Imaginary Friends, like a live-action follow-up movie, where Ryan Reynolds' character could have just been named Mac. You change a couple of things, just change a couple of minor things, like just tweak something. Like, literally tweak like one or two things in the movie. You could have had the exact same movie, tweak a couple things, and that could have been an older Mac who was just jaded because he tried with the Imaginary Friends. It just wasn't working out. And then Blue was just like, no, Mac, I just want to be able to get a kid, Mac. I can't figure this out. And then he's like, this could have been like a follow-up to the Foster Home for Imaginary Friends series done in live action if Cartoon Network and Craig McCracken would have, and Warner fucking Media would have came together and be like, yo, we could do that. We could do that. We could totally do that. Like, if studios weren't afraid of doing continuations of their shows and big budget Hollywood live action films, this could have been that, honestly. I know that was a lot of shade I threw there, but this entire review was a fucking rant. Freaking rant. I'm sorry. I'm watching my language. But overall, I say all that to say, I was disappointed. I was severely disappointed. And I'm hurt. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I really should have went and saw Garfield. And I heard Garfield wasn't that great. I like Garfield, though, so I don't know. You're going to have a hard time. But I know one thing. I would have laughed in Garfield. I'd have had me a good time in Garfield. I'd have remembered a lot of stuff from Garfield. I'd have had memorable moments. I'm not eager to really watch. My kids liked it. My daughter liked it. My other two kids fell asleep. My oldest, she claims she liked it, so I will give her that. But I told her, Cheryl, I didn't like this one. And my daughter knows I love movies. I mean, look, she knows what I do. I do reviews. Come on, she knows I love movies. But I didn't like this one. This was released on May 17th in theaters. It's currently still playing. Rating-wise, it's sitting at 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb. My rating for this, 3 out of 5 stars. And I knew it was 3 stars midway through the movie. I said, this is a 3-star movie. This is 3 stars. This is 3 stars. This is 3 stars. And if I was in the worst mood right now, it would probably go down. There's no going up for this movie. But that's just my rant and my thoughts of this. I'm almost 20 minutes in. I'm going to stop it right here. Guys, if it's in theaters now, check it out at your own discretion and let me know in the comments down below what you think. Did you enjoy this movie? Am I tripping? Am I being too harsh? Was this actually a better movie than I thought? I don't know. Is this one day going to be a cult classic? Who knows? But for right now, I don't think this was it. But again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed and you enjoy what we do here. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Twitch. And until next time, guys, I'm going to imagine myself somewhere else. I got to stop. But until next time, y'all, be easy, stay breezy. Peace.